I'm Haley B. Miller, and this is Ohio Politics Explained, a podcast where you give us 15 minutes and we give you all the news you need to sound smart and impress your friends. Welcome back to Ohio Politics Explained. We're devoting today's episode to Springfield, Ohio, and how the city found itself in the middle of a heated immigration debate. Joining me to break it all down is Laura Bischoff.
Hey, how are you?
You know, it has been a week.
It has.
Before we dive in and get into all of that, just a quick reminder, if you find OPE useful, please consider leaving us a review or rating on Apple Podcasts. Okay, where even to begin? Springfield, which is located near Dayton, has seen an influx of Haitian migrants in recent years. They came here legally under a Biden administration program that helps people fleeing violence in their countries. Many of them took jobs that locals did not want. Officials say about 15,000 Haitians have flocked to Springfield, which is a big population increase for a city of 58,000. And that comes with its challenges, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But all of this has been going on for a while. So what happened to all of a sudden make Springfield a national story?
Well, you're right. I mean, there's all this pressure on the housing and the schools and translation services because of this big influx. But what happened was, politicians started to talk about the pressures that this big immigration uptick caused, but then also spread these false rumors that Haitian immigrants were stealing cats and dogs and maybe geese and ducks for food. And, it kind of like took root in the Twitterverse and gained a lot of oxygen from right-wing Republicans, including J.D. Vance, who continue to repeat these allegations without proof. And, the Springfield city manager, Brian Heck, had to release a statement saying there's no evidence any cats or other pets are being harmed or eaten by Haitian immigrants. But that did not, stop this wildfire of rumor and speculation and accusations.
Yeah, and it reached kind of an apex on Tuesday during the presidential debate between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump referenced Springfield as he was discussing immigration and repeated this false claim that people were eating people's cats and dogs. So I think that really just had people across the country wondering what is happening in Ohio, and that really took it to a new level, I think.
Right. I mean, hat tip to the Springfield News-Sun and our colleagues Aaron Glenn, Scott Wortman, Amber Hunt, photographers Liz DeFore and Doral Chenoweth, and of course Haley, for all the work that they did on the ground, talking to Springfield residents, talking to the governor, talking to Haitian immigrants to provide context and facts. And then later that night at the debate, as you said, President Trump decided to kind of, drop in these comments about immigrants eating cats and dogs. It's sort of funny. This is the kind of story that really shows the best and the worst of the internet because, there were so many quick, creative, funny takes on TikTok and memes, but it also shows the ability to quickly spread these falsehoods and flat out racism and hate.
Yeah, and one thing that I kept seeing a lot in my Twitter mentions that the Springfield News-Sun debunked essentially is, there was this 911 call from someone in Springfield saying that there were 4 Haitians walking off with some geese. But as the News-Sun reported, ODNR looked into that. They didn't find any merit to that claim. And of course, a 911 call is not really proof of anything. It's just a document saying somebody called to say something.
Right. And just because you make a 911 call does not make it true.
Right. So let's go back to some of the challenges that we kind of talked about at the beginning. Local and state officials say the healthcare system in Clark County is spread really thin right now, and housing costs are up because there's a shortage of housing. People also have concerns about traffic safety, in part because a Haitian immigrant caused a school bus crash that killed an 11-year-old. Governor Mike DeWine held a news conference this week focused mostly on those things. He's not really interested in talking about people eating pets. How is the state trying to help out with this?
Well, of course, you covered the governor's press conference in which he said he was going to ask state troopers to kind of supplement the traffic enforcement. And I think just more supports, more government supports in general. And, you referenced that traffic accident that killed the 11-year-old kid, Aiden Clark. And, his father, Nathan Clark, appeared at the Springfield City Council meeting and just implored politicians to stop using his child's death to spread hate and to use it in a political manner. I think that Governor DeWine kind of kept his criticism to the situation to say that the federal government allowed all these refugees to immigrate to Springfield without enough support in place, and now the city's under strain.
Yeah, and he made a point to say he supports the program that allowed them to come to the U.S. in the first place. He and First Lady Fran DeWine founded a school in Haiti back in the day. So he's been in Haiti. I think he, feels for the people there and understands their desire to escape really terrible violence in that country. But to your point, he just feels like the government needs to provide some financial support to help cities like Springfield handle this influx.
Yeah, just to flesh out that connection that DeWine has with Haiti just a little bit. His daughter, Becky, died in the early 90s in a traffic accident at age 22. A couple years after that, DeWine was in Haiti touring and came across this orphanage that was run by this Catholic priest, Father Tom. And a couple years after that, the DeWines started to help fund the orphanage, and they renamed the orphanage the Becky DeWine School. And Mike and Fran DeWine have been to Haiti more than 20 times. Oh, wow. So he does have a deep understanding about what the Haitians in Haiti are up against, just extreme violence, gang control of the city streets and the rest of it.
Right. And one thing he talked a lot about during his news conference, too, was, healthcare needs. Haiti is a country where vaccines aren't readily available like they are here. So there's been a big push in Springfield and Clark County to get Haitian immigrants vaccinated against diseases that, as DeWine put it, we take for granted that we don't see much of because of vaccinations. And so that's part of why the local healthcare systems are in need of some support right now. The state's going to give at least $2.5 million to help with that and to help ensure people get primary care and things like that. But one important point that the Ohio Health Director, Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff, pointed out was that at this point, they are not seeing any measurable increases in vaccine preventable illnesses like TB or measles. These vaccines are just preventative measures like they are for all of us.
Right. And that information from Dr. Vanderhoff kind of goes against what Senator Vance was saying, which is that it's his understanding there has been an increase in TB and other communicable diseases.
Now, while all of this is going on, there are people in Springfield just trying to live their lives. Our colleague Erin Glenn, as Laura mentioned, spent some time there, and people have a lot of different feelings. Some think the county is overwhelmed and complain that they can't find groceries anymore, but others think that a lot of this is just nonsense. And there was one Haitian that Erin spoke to who said he's been called a dirty Haitian to his face, which of course is not acceptable.
Right. And also, I think that same person, pointed out that they're all there legally. They're working in warehouse jobs that require confirmation that you have the legal right to work in America. And in large part, they've taken jobs that a lot of Americans just have not taken. They're vacancies for a reason.
Right. And another thing that we learned just today that we saw happen is that there was a bomb threat called in to Springfield City Hall, a local elementary school, some other buildings, and those were evacuated as a precaution. No one has been hurt, and I think we're still waiting to learn more about the motivation behind those calls, but it's hard to imagine that it doesn't have anything to do with all of this.
Sure. I mean, that kind of shows that spreading all these false allegations can be dangerous. And, I would just ask people like, hey, employ some critical thinking and some basic fact checking before you repeat and reshare things you see online.
Where do you think we go from here? Will this die down eventually?
I think this story has some legs for a while. And I think that, it's not just happening in Springfield. The governor mentioned that Findlay is also seeing a big uptick in immigration. And it's interesting because there's a lot of other states like in the South and the Southwest that have had, massive waves of immigration. In Ohio, it's been more moderate. And I think if we see, big upticks in communities, we'll hear more about it in the coming years. But I think this Springfield story is probably going to be around for at least another couple weeks.
And one more thing before you go. As we said, our colleagues are doing a lot of great reporting on Springfield, and we of course encourage you to visit our websites for the latest news. But I also highly, highly recommend that you read the Springfield News-Sun for credible reporting from the folks who live and work there. Ohio Politics Explained is brought to you by the USA Today Network Ohio Bureau. You can check us out on X, formerly known as Twitter, @Ohio Explained.